Hey guys, it's Average and welcome back to the channel. We're here at Headcorn, or Echo Golf Kilo Hotel, at one of the Burning Blue Designs airports to take a look at an aircraft we once reviewed a while ago. Now, I've been looking back. I got a notice recently there was an update for this aircraft to 1.6. This is the Aeroplane Heaven Cessna 140. Now, it was kind of meh when it came out. In fact, Aeroplane Heaven were kind of in their meh arc at the time, where aircraft came out and they weren't particularly wonderful. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great either. It was this kind of earlier days of MSFS. Now, is this worth it now? It's an important question. Because after I reviewed that, they increased the value of the pack with not only the wheeled version, but a bush tyre version and a float version too, which really added to the utility of the aircraft. Now, the float version we won't look at today. It suffers from skipping on water like a lot of FS float planes. Otherwise fairly nice, straight floats, not amphibian. This, however, is the wheeled variant, which we're going to take a look at today, because it has been updated, and texture updates have happened, materials updates have happened, and honestly, it looks rather nice now. Not huge dramatic changes in terms of textures inside and out, but enough. Now, as we see here, I think that's the aircraft secured. It is. You can see the ropes there on the wing. Go outside here. You'll see we have chocks and we have tie downs. And the aircraft can look as nice as we want it to look. So we'll go back inside here. We're going to go through some of these. I'm pretty sure there's a way to actually turn those spats off. I don't know how it is because it doesn't specify in the manual. The manual is mildly out of date. Yep, okay, we can do that. So bush tyres. You can do this on the fly, which is interesting because that has to change its actual handling, the bush tyres. So we can change the tyres to bush, to wheel spats, to regular tyres. We'll leave regular tyres for today. Or, no, we'll stick with the spats. We'll stick with the spats. So, obviously, the original version that we reviewed had a G1000 as an optional extra behind these covers. They updated that, of course, and with working titles 530, you actually have a reasonable GPS system in here. You also have a transponder, an ADF. It's useful. Of course, you have the period radio, which does actually work. So let's get started up, shall we? So, battery's on. Big switch for the battery there. Avionics strobes there. We've got our nav lights, we've got landing lights, beacons. We'll unsecure the aircraft or remove all the tie downs. We've got a starter, we have our parking brake, we have our anti-ice, our carb air. Okay, everything else is looking reasonable down here. We don't exactly have a lot to select and set up. You'll notice we have left, we have right, we have off, and we have both. So we'll go to there down here. This is our flap lever down here. This is our trim. We're in the red arc for trim. That is correct as it should be. Now, one of the other things was it was very noisy. It's nowhere near as bad now, but it's still pretty loud in comparison to some aircraft. Can I close you? Are you going to close? Yes, you are. Let's make sure our prop mixture is in. Everything else is there. Let's give this a bit of a... If it cracked, and we'll hit the starter. Max needs to be on as well, of course. So we're operational. Sounds are loud, but nowhere near as bad as they used to be. Now, you will see, we'll switch this off, of course, if we're going to use the actual modern system. Alternator on. Now, you'll notice if we're below a certain RPM, below 20% throttle or so, you'll notice our battery will drain. So I'm going to leave this idle for a second, and we'll see if we can watch that drop. You'll see it here. Our amps maybe should go down. Because that's an update they've included. Now this is about $30 or about 28 euros to purchase now. So it's still a really reasonable, but also definitely positive price, let's call it. Isn't there positive, you'll pay it. There's our primer down there. Our yokes. We'll go over some of these changes once we're airborne. But we're going to taxi out here and we're going to get ourselves airborne and get on our way for a little jaunt. About 15 minutes up the way to Thurrock, where we're going to take a little bit of a jaunt around. So we're here at Headcorn with a bunch of warbirds around the area. Did I leave the parking brake on again? I do that occasionally. I did. There we go. There's a little bit to get going on grass. It's very much a tail dragger 150 before it was a 150. So you've got that streamlined rear body rather than the rear Omnivision window. If I sound a little weird right now, it is because I have braces for the first time and in my mouth for the first day. So I may sound a little weird. I don't think I do, but we'll see. Vanity will be the death of me. A DC-3 and a dragon behind it. Right, we'll get ourselves out here onto the runway. Now I will say already, it's a lot more interesting as an aircraft experience. There's a lot more features and functionality. It does look a lot nicer too. Simple, subtle changes, but it's enough to make a big difference. Okay. Advance the throttle. It's not a big engine in this aircraft, but it's enough to make it interesting. Tails up. Airspeed's climbing. We're going to ease back on the throttle and away we climb. A little bit of nose up trim here. We'll leave full power on while we climb. About 700, 800 on the RPM. Everything going okay there. It's not big, it's not clever, it's not fast, but it'll do the job. We're about 70 knots, or about 65 knots right now. So we'll climb out, we'll let it get to about 70, and we'll start to turn on course for en route. There we go. Of course, both of these are by Burning Blue Designs. You can get them on Orbex's website and on their own website. If you want to fly these airstrips themselves, some great British ones and ones in other countries. Very kindly sent these by Burning Blue Designs. So we'll pass the Thames Estuary on our way to Thurrock. It shouldn't be a very long journey at all. We'll get to look at some of those updates on the aircraft. There we go. Of course, no autopilot, not that kind of aeroplane. So let's have a little bit of a look-see-doodle. So obviously it uses the stock MSFS pilots. You can use your own, including add-on pilots. And you'll see Captain Whiskers is down there in the plane with us. Not customizable number plates, unfortunately. Or number plates, registrations. But I remember when they first came out, of course, it was kind of mediocre aircraft. And the initial updates included adding the float plane, which now, of course, then had trails in the water when MSFS added that. Of course, the spats, no spats, bush wheels in the sim. The G1000 in the cockpit that was there as an optional thing got replaced by the more modern avionics, with the 430, the 530 in this case, 328 transponder, the Aztec 55 autopilot. Is there autopilot in here? Wait a minute. No, there is. There's an autopilot. Oh, golly gosh me. This doesn't appear to be displaying correctly, because it seems to be cutting some bits off the screen. But in theory, I should be able to go... Well, it's trying something. Of course, our aircraft's not actually shown on the screen there, so the GPS is a little bit struggle bus. But it is trying to do things. We're still on full throttle. We're not on full throttle. We'll just pull the engine back slightly here. We go for a 2300 RPM. Okay, that's on. We'll leave the autopilot on for us so we can just focus on other things. Notably, information. So, of course, rain effects will reverse. They fixed those. They missed some textures in the back of the cockpit. Revised engine burn code and a fuel burn code. Electrics code, of course, was changed too. Then we had the version 1.3, which of course had the water spray effects to the floats. Pilots are on by default. Clicking the seat will remove the pilots. Cabin heaters now animated. Are they? That's not a heater. Wo ist das heater? Wo ist das? Not wo, vo. Where is the heater? Well, those are just vents, as far as I'm aware. Unless I'm crazy. I don't actually see a heater. Because that's that. Perhaps I am imagining things. Either way. We have the water rivers fixed, of course, and then we have the latest version, 1.6, which came out 2 days ago. I got the email for it. So conversion to modern code from older template system. So it's onto the new kind of flight dynamic system, which will make it forward compatible to 2024. Pilot hiding based on weight. So you can do that in the menu up here. Reduce the weight to 0, they disappear. So visibility issues on modern radio is fixed. Can confirm not fixed. So things are definitely still facky down there. That is not appearing fixed. Electrical system rework to allow for game issue with engine-driven alternators. We were tickled, apparently it's a technical term. The voltage curve slightly, so if you're running under 20%, 1200 RPM. Now with lights, with all the lights on, sorry, you will drain your battery. So, you need to have the landing lights on too. Why wasn't that on? Rework the start switch code, click and hold starter. Remove the known squeak with the elevator trim. Remove the wheel selector on the floats version. Useful. Now we need a VFR code here. It's giving me a European code. Sorry, I'm too used to being American. You'll forgive me. 7. Just click VFR. We're good. Okay. So of course, they've made the fuel selector a little easier to use and drag, so it's a mouse roll now, which is useful. So overall, cumulatively, quite a lot of little changes have added up total to create a much more rounded little package of an aircraft. This was something initially I really wasn't that enthused about. It wasn't particularly nice. Now we have something kind of fun with the retro styling of the panel and the general looks of the aircraft. And it is a good looking aircraft. It's not the Coronado Cessna 170, arguably newer. It comes with way more features, the float version, the bush tyres. Of course you get 2 of those with the 170. And that has got pretty textures, but this I think has a little bit more character in terms of its appearance. A little older, but arguably cuter. Tiny little thing. Very, very small indeed. Like I say, more like the 150 of its time. A much, much smaller aircraft, but I just love how colourful and vibrant this thing is in here. And we've got the retro radios if we want to pretend to be period correct for the time. And these huge Bakelite window levers, which don't appear still to change the engine note in the slightest. No change there, which is an oversight, but it's certainly one we're noticing. So there's the Thames estuary up ahead of us, and Thurrock will be on the far side. Is it Thurrock or Thurston? I do forget which one it is. Because here we have got... Now I'm trying to find this one. He's done a huge amount of British airports. We have Little Granston, we have Lashenden, Goodwood, Felland, Lydd, Popham, Redhill, Rochester, Sibson, Solent, we've got Stomares, Tattenhill, sorry, we've got Thruxton, which is where we're heading to, I think. Oh, Thurrock we're heading to, sorry. White Walton, Wickenby. So if you want to go to all your World War II airports of choice, you've got quite a lot of these around, actually. So you'll find something to suit nearly everybody, including places like Denham. We've got Earl's Colne, we've got Fair Oaks, Farnborough, Damon's Hall, Compton Abbas, Bodmin, Andrewsfield. Yeah, loads of airfields there from Burning Blue Designs. Go check them out. I love his little airports. They're fantastically made, and I do enjoy having them in the sim to fly from. Little free plug for him there, but I do like his work. So what we're flying over there, that is... Oh, turn on the modern avionics here for a second. Echo Golf Tango Oscar going to be up ahead of us here. Not our destination, but it doesn't matter either way. We'll turn the autopilot off. We don't need to be flying with that silly thing on the whole time. I do want to do a little bit of manoeuvring testing here. So in terms of actual... Oh, it'll do. We will get an aileron roll in there. It's losing some altitude with it. Oh god. Yeah. Definitely losing some altitude. But they did improve the prop disc. I have noticed that much. That's definitely improved. She ditches a lot of altitude when you try and roll her. So not really something I'd recommend doing perhaps going forwards. Those bridges look suspiciously flyable. BRB. Am I an idiot? Absolutely. Am I going to do this? Absolutely. It's looking decidedly hollow under there. Whee! There we go. Had to be done. Very necessary. Important work. Someone had to do it. Glad it was me. Ooh. Racetrack. Karting track. So cool. So cool. A tunnel on the railway line there. And this is no insignificant field. Multiple grass runways there. Interesting indeed. A good one to use for various adventures of the grass variety. Right, are we on course? We're on course. We'll turn this way. There's one of the bridges crossing over. We shouldn't be too far away now. In fact, according to this, we are less than 10 miles away. But we are going into fairly slow clomps, so 10 miles can take quite some time, depending on the aircraft. Now, I'm going to be making a point of going back and doing some reviews going onwards, as aircraft obviously are updated and evolve over time. They will change, developers will improve them and fix them, so my initial impressions may not always hold true. Now, I do remember actually stalling and spinning, bringing this thing into land at the first review video. That was my bad. I went back and watched that to kind of look at my opinions on the aircraft overall. And yeah, that was just me being stupid. I was too slow. Too focused on talking to you guys compared to actually reviewing the aircraft and flying properly. I must say, this is a rather pleasant airplane to fly now. It's not big, it's not clever, it's not amazing, but if it was going to be a 152 or this, I'd probably take this now. For a, you know, just under 100 knot, little cruiser, to fly around and have a nice time, it absolutely ticks all the boxes. Barges down there. See, this kind of flying over the British countryside is absolutely perfect for this kind of aircraft. You're slow, you're low, you get to have a really nice view of things, and the 50 styling is rather pretty. Although definitely still issues with the GPS there. It may be it's not designed to work with the working title one, but they didn't update it with this patch, which is way past the working title one, so one would assume. My mouth is really hurting right now. If anyone's had braces, yeah, thank God, ow. This is hurting. It's day one, and I'm recording videos. This is my third video I've recorded today. 2 from my main channel, and 1 for this one. This one I'm doing right now. Not clickable thingy, we've got a max there. I do like the fact that the actual keyring does wobble there. Now, I record some of the aircraft having a volume control in them, at least I believe that was Electra. Would have been nice if clicking something in here reduced the engine note slightly, because their airplanes are quite loud, I have noticed, so would have been nice if that was something you could change, but it isn't the end of the world, because they have generally reduced the volume of the aircraft. It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. So, could be worse. I'm pretty sure this is actually the Thames now. That wasn't back there. That was some other lesser river. 8 miles here. So it should be just across the far bank for us. A nice, easy approach into there. Very stable here in terms of not needing the autopilot to actually fly it. It's a gentle aircraft. With a little bit of nose-up trim there, just to keep it balanced. But I'm basically 2 fingers on the flight controls here. Get my foot off the rudder pedal that I'm pushing by accident. Trims out very nicely and very gently on its own. Just sits there and rides. No drama whatsoever. Let it sit where it needs to be. So yes, in terms of a re-review, I definitely think this is worth it now. We've had other aircraft, of course, in the GA category. In terms of historic aircraft, there aren't a huge number. Not necessarily in the same category, I would say. We have had some newer historic aircraft. Of course, we have things like the Comanche, which ruins the general aviation market for most people because it's simply the best. We have things like the 310. We have anything that Carenada's brought out, which I think is a general baseline standard for quality. As in, you need to be about here or further to kind of really advance anywhere. They are, to an extent, a minimum. You know, pretty enough and functional enough to work. Not that I'm saying they're perfect, but they are at least a minimum. So, has this changed from where it was to where it is now and become something that would be above that threshold? Because it's not cheap. Even though you do get the ability to have bush tyres and spats, no spats, and a float plane version, so 2 full aircraft and a couple of variants of same, I still think it's a little expensive. €28 or $30, it's a lot of money for what you're getting. It's a lot better than it was, considerably better than it was. I think it's a lot improved, and if you wanted a nice slow cruiser, it's absolutely in that category. What would I also consider in this kind of ballpark? Ant Tiger Moth, I'd say, is far and wide a better investment if you wanted something at this speed, with way more character. There's the Lionheart Booker Youngman. That's also a good one as well. That's an old one too, that's been around a while. And there are a couple of other aircraft, but it's not awful. If you like the Cessnas, it's a great classic Cessna. Way more worth it than it used to be, but I'd still say it's on the expensive side. Still a little too expensive for what you are getting. So consider that your buyer's advice. Okay, so we're 4 miles away now, so we are at about 1,300 feet. We'll drop ourselves down to 800. And lower the nose here. Get ourselves on our approach to pick up the downwind, and we'll run the circuit here at... Is it Thurrock? I keep calling it the wrong name. I really should pay attention, shouldn't I? Our destination, we'll call it that. Making notes would be so much more practical, wouldn't it? Alright, so where are we? I think I see the field ahead of us. Possibly. I believe it might be in front of us. I think it's down there to just left of the nose. I can't see the house that's on the bottom end of the field, so I can't quite tell. Although it could be directly off the nose a little bit further out. We'll know when we get a little closer. Some huge trees over there. Is there trees? My God. I need to see what that is for a start. So that was not our field, that was a field. Those are humongous trees. Is that our airport? That's our airport. With possibly the world's largest trees. Well, something's possibly gone wrong here. My God. Did someone screw up their LODs? Is this the Tree of Life from Avatar? It is. Wow. Well, there's our field. Can't miss that with trees that size. God. Alright, 800 feet. Let's turn downwind here. Those are stonking massive trees. Yeah, something's gone wrong with my installation because those are supersized. They're not even redwoods, they're megawoods. Okay. Yep, Thurrock, here we are. slowing our speed down here. Very gentle and placid in the pattern too. Like, I'm putting next to no effort in. We're maintaining our altitude. And we're descending slightly still now. We should be dropping down a little bit here. Give it 1 notch of the old flapperonis. Give it 2 notches of flaps. We'll turn base here. Idle throttle out. This thing sinks like a brick, so we can kill the power and really drop. Here we are. A little bit of rudder pedal. A bit of power on here to maintain some speed because she is sinking like a stone. Trees in sight. Hard to miss those fucking things. Power off. We're quite high up still. Let's burn some of this off. In fact, full flaps there. That should act like a massive speed brake for us. Look at us drop here. Like a stone. Turn final. We still have good airspeed. There's the runway. This time I'm paying far greater attention to the aircraft. Very typical little British runway that's so narrow. Little power here. Just a notch. Still can't take my eyes off those massive trees. Those are stonking huge. We're coming in just shy of 60 knots. Nice and easy over the road here, over the hedge. Hold the nose. There we go. Flaps coming out. Nice and quick for deployment and retraction, as they are manual. Not even applying any brakes here at all. God, those trees are broken. So broken. I love it. They're so broken. And here we are. There we go. A little bit of brake apply just to slow us down before we turn. You've got to ground loop this thing. Can happen easily. Okay, we'll park ourselves up and call this a day. It's definitely worth more than it was. I'd say with the market of GA types, I would put your money towards something better if you wanted a GA plane in general. If you wanted this plane, you could do a lot worse. It's not bad. But you could certainly do better. Let's go. Dear God, look at these things. That is something wrong with those. Those aren't trees. Those are... This is from Avatar. It's the Tree of Life. Otherwise, a lovely little airport, though. With the house and the flying club. Some nice little pull-in hangars there. That's what we need in the sim, isn't it? A Citabria. We need a good Citabria. Welcome to bloody England. Well, thank you for watching, guys. I definitely thought this was a massive improvement from them. A much nicer version of the aircraft now, with a lot of those updates finally culminating to make it a much more interesting aircraft. And one that I think I could recommend. It is still expensive though, so buyer beware. Thanks for watching. Bye.